grew up on the North Coast. I struggled at school. I went to school in Stanger for about 2 years, for grade 1 and 2. And my mind was chaotic. I struggled to make friends. I couldn't connect names and faces. I couldn't even pack the right stuff for school. And the teachers didn't really know how to deal with it. So they used to get a girl to pack my school bag for me, which I wouldn't mind now. But at 6, as a little guy, it's quite humiliating. And I remember my mother taking me to a birthday party of a girl in my class, and she followed the directions on the invite. And we got there, and I gave the gift to the wrong person because I wasn't sure who had invited me to the party. Anyway, so my parents started sending me to child psychologists and pediatricians, and they realized that I had attention deficit disorder and a specific learning disability in English. I struggled with language and I struggled with spelling, and it was something that would be with me for my whole life, and I'd have to learn how to cope with it. There weren't any schools back then in our area that catered for kids that struggled at school, so my mom quit her job and she homeschooled me for 4 years. And homeschooling in those days was quite a controversial thing, actually. And I remember ending up in a couple of newspaper stories. And anyway, after about 4 years, we worked on my sort of reading and language stuff. And the psychology reports had said that I was 2 years behind where I should have been, which is pretty significant when you're 6 years old. And so my mom really, she wasn't a teacher, but she taught. And she worked with me for 4 years. And I went back to primary school in grade 7 just so I could get used to mainstream schooling again. And when it came time to go to high school, I went to apply for a couple of schools and actually got rejected from my high school based on my psychology reports. Anyway, I ended up at a school closer to home, and I remember walking into maths class, and the maths teacher had taught my brother, and my brother and my sister were really great students. They were 7 A's in matric, both of them. And she said to me, she said, I taught your brother, and I expect, great things from you. And I just remember my mom stole me into the school, and she said to this lady that my brother and I are different people, and that she was never ever to tell me what I should or shouldn't be. And that was my mom for you. Anyway, high school, it wasn't much better than primary school. I had the same sort of friendship struggles. I did gain a few friendships, fortunately. And I remember sitting in class and staring at the wall and not knowing what was going on. And when it came time to write down my homework, my friend would pull my diary across and fill in my homework and then push it back in front of me. And I would go home, and almost every night without fail, I would phone him and to say, what is this? Like what am I supposed to do? And he would walk me through the homework. So I don't know how much I actually picked up at school. Anyway, I'd given my life at about age 6, so I was walking with God and I knew Him. And I guess I didn't know where things were going and how I was going to cope. And at about age 15, I was on a Christian camp called Live the Life. And it was a time where I was really, we were in a meeting, and I was really crying out for God to give me some sort of direction, and praying and saying, God, I need this. I need you to tell me something. I need this. And the same refrain, I need this, I need this. And one of the elders from the church I was at walked up to me, and I didn't really know him well, and I wasn't in the front, so I don't know why he walked to me, but he placed his hand on my head. And I felt God speak probably the most audibly that I've ever heard in my life. And just the words, "Don't you think I know what you need?" And I fell backwards through 3 plastic chairs onto solid concrete and lay there for what I later found out was about 30 minutes. Eventually tore myself off the floor. Did not have a bruise or a scratch, did not even remember falling. But those words have sat with me ever since. And I finished my master's degree this year. I'm handing my thesis in a month. And I don't think that a master's degree is a measure of a man's success, but I do think it's it's evidence of the grace of God in my life and His provision for me. And sometimes God works in the fireworks where people grow back limbs and get off wheelchairs, and the rest of the time God is the Father who gives us what we need and knows what we need. And that's my story.